know you all want to go to the bathroom. I know you're all hungry, but climate change is stealing the food of Africa's table. Let me repeat that. Climate change is stealing the food of Africa's table. Globally, the climate emergency is making every new crisis much worse. But here in this continent, here in Africa, its impact is far greater. The war in Ukraine, the debt crisis, inflation, the looming economic recession. In all these crises, climate change is the magnifying glass. And President Macky Sall, when the sun shines, we all know what happens under this magnifying glass. So the world has to stop the greenhouse gas emissions trajectory that has set us on the road, to paraphrase Antonio Guterres, on the road to climate hell. Because if the world ends up with 3 degrees warming, then this climate hell will look a lot like biblical hell. Think about it. 1/3 of Africa's land for growing maize will burn up. And by 2050, you can double that terrifying outcome for beans. But even if the world does stay within the Paris Agreement goal of 1.5 degrees warming, and we're not on track, Africa will need massive adaptation to survive and thrive. But the good news is, as you said, Mr. President Sall, as you reminded us, is that the road we take, and as you said, President Adesina, the destination at which we arrive, it's not set in stone. So, Excellencies, I think if you're here in the vibrant city of Dakar today, it is because you know Africa's road to food sovereignty is unstoppable. But Africa is at a crossroads, with one highway leading to loss and damages, hunger and poverty. But the other road, the better road, leads through climate adaptation, lifting African farmers, delivering food security and shared prosperity. So we have a choice to make. Let's be very careful here, because early forecasts tell us that El Niño will be back with a vengeance this year. Here in Africa, it will bring droughts to the south and extreme rainfall to the east. Let us not forget, in 2016, El Niño plunged nearly 30 million people into an acute food crisis. This year's El Niño is forecast to be much worse. So it is vital, as President Buhari indicated, that Africa's farmers adapt to the climate shocks of today and the more intense disasters of tomorrow. But I have good news for you. Learn from President Adesina, who is an economist. Investing in adaptation in food security is good economics. It is inaction that is expensive. Our work at GCA shows that if we continue on the current path of inaction, the cost for the agriculture sector annually will be off the scale. How much? $200 billion a year. And the cost of action? $15 billion a year. So adaptation is good business and resilience pays. Excellency, last month, I had the honor of meeting with Kenya's First Lady, Rachel Ruto. President Ruto just left. But Mama Ruto told me that all Africans have 3 mothers. There's Mother Earth, there's Mother Nation, and there's our biological mother. And their wisdom guides us across uncharted territory. And yes, my big brother and very close friend, Akin Adesina, Mr. President, you lost your beloved mother recently, and we all share in your grief. And as we say in Dutch, so moeder, so zoon, like mother, like son, it is so evident from your work, Akeen, that Mama Eunice was an exceptional woman. So in her spirit, and in the spirit, indeed, and in the spirit of Africa's three mothers, let me share three messages towards food sovereignty and resilience. First, adaptation finance for agriculture needs a massive increase. Globally, how much is it today? Global finance, climate finance for agriculture is in the order of $20 billion. How much is it for agriculture? Just 3%. For smallholder farmers, half of that. It's not enough. But we have good news here too, because the multilateral development banks, they're scaling up. They scaled up agriculture, climate finance for agriculture, and we count on all of them to follow the lead of you, President Adesina, to increase the share of adaptation finance. Two, my second message, Africa, as Beth said, already knows its adaptation solutions. Irrigation, drought-resilient crops and livestock diversification, but countries need support to implement them at scale. And finally, my third message, investing in resilient food systems is investing in 21st century jobs. Africa, as you said, President Macky Sall, needs more jobs, better jobs. And I have no doubt that the next Bill Gates will be from the agribusiness sector, coming from Africa, indeed. So Africa has a program for adaptation, and we thank President Macky Sall for that. And this program, your program, is already delivering at scale, the Africa Adaptation Acceleration Program, co-led by President Adesina at the African Development Bank and the Global Center on Adaptation, and with extraordinary support from Chairman Moussa Faki, and with extremely bold energy and forward-leaning leadership from Minister Anne Trinnerheim and Minister Andrew Mitchell, and the Netherlands and France and Sweden and Denmark and the Gates Foundation supporting this AAAP. The AAAP is delivering. In the last 24 months, it invested $5.2 billion on the continent. That is results, that is speed, that is scale indeed. In closing, President Macky Sall, your presence today, sir, at this summit gives us all hope. Africa is taking the right road. And as you and your fellow leaders here this week are charting a path towards food security, remember this, Mr. President. Food sovereignty and resilience is unstoppable, and even with the climate crisis, Africa is unstoppable. I thank you very much indeed.